friends. Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number, I don't know. I feel fairly unprepared. It might be 69, might be 70. Anyway, whatever it is, Flosstube and Variety Show. I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and this is Friday, February 3rd. It's 2/3/23 today. Yes, if you like numbers, which I do like numbers. Anyway, today is a beautiful day, beautiful but chilly day here, and it's supposed to get down into the teens tonight, which is fairly cold for this part of North Carolina. But I'm glad you've joined me today. With whatever the weather, doesn't matter. And I'll be talking about cross stitch, which is the Flosstube part, and Variety Show, which we'll see. Yeah. So cross stitch first. As I have decided, at least so far the decision is holding, every week I'm going to show you one of my 2 full coverage projects, and this week's turn is the Snippet Tiger Stare by Charting Creations. Yeah, Charting Creations. And I've been working over at the very beginning on the left edge of it, and I think that's this edge. And the other day I just got into a mode of wanting to do some fill-in stitching, so I did a fair amount of black, but I also had done a lot down there at the bottom of the lighter stripe, which, you know, is a white stripe on the tiger, but this is quite lavender. So I've been working on that black, and it is black. Based on some things I've read on Facebook about thread color, I decided to use Anchor black instead of DMC 310. And I had stitched a little sample stitch of both colors at some point, and I don't really think there's a difference, but people say that Anchor covers better. So there you go. I also worked on this, which is the Countdown Stitch Along, Countdown Sal from Evertote and Modern Folk Embroidery. Jacob is the designer of this, and Roxy Floss Co, I think it's called, is the provider of the fabric and the floss. And I did do some more days to it. I can't remember where I was last time, but over here in this section, I did more. And I think in this light, you can see the stitching in that fadeaway color there, that tone on tone. Now in the band below, that sampler section over there, that one that has red and pinkish color in it, I used the wrong color by accident. Because I'm not working, you know, day by day the way it was designed to be worked, I'm way behind. I mean, I just finished December 22nd, I think. I have all the floss on, I put it on bobbins, and I labeled the bobbin with the name of it and the date so that I would know which date I was working on. And I also have a chart where I filled in the name of the floss next to the symbol, which they provided at the beginning. But I picked up the wrong day. I picked up December 23rd, so this rose color is not supposed to be that color. It's supposed to be, I think, a green. Is that right? I think that's right. But that green color is, the other color is also in the same band. And so I decided I'm just gonna go with it because I didn't feel like ripping it out. So that's what that is. I think overall it's nice. I'm disappointed in that one color in particular, the one that seems to be missing over in the sampler section. A couple of other places it really disappears, but they just announced that they're doing another one this coming December. And there's a video on the Evertote YouTube channel. And what she said was a few interesting things about it. One is it's not going to be a band sampler. Secondly, it's going to be a sampler or a project that is not necessarily Christmas themed or even Christmas colors, but more traditional colors. So they mentioned that a lot of people didn't like this Grinch color, that really bright green. I actually like that. I think it brings a real pop of excitement, and it's there's this brighter green on this side is a different color, but it's similar to the Grinch. And I like those colors. I mean, it was a little startling to see it, but I think it's good. And so it's not a band sampler, it's not seasonal per se, and the color palette will be more cohesive is the word that the Floss dyer person, whose name I can't remember, might be Carrie, said. So Jacob is doing it. They've already seen the design, and I think the floss and the fabric have not been finalized yet. So I think those were the things that I learned from that little video. The other thing I learned is that the pre-orders are open now, and so I ordered it. I did. I really had fun opening this each day and working on each day's little section, even though I am vastly behind. That's all right. It's nice to have something in chunks. So supposedly they're shipping in July or maybe August. Maybe they're shipping in August. So I will receive it. I'll show you the box, which will just be a box, and I'll put it away somewhere. You'll have to remind me to get it out before December 1st. So how about that? I also wanted to show you Winter Rose Manor. Now I had mentioned that I wanted, let me show you the whole thing first, the chart. I've been working on this border, and I did that little thing, and I mentioned that I want to get all the way down here because there's so much stitching in all of this area that it's pretty solid, that I was afraid that I would run out of oomph or time or something if I didn't get down there. And so I did. I made my way down. I forget that this linen is fairly see-through, but hopefully you can detect that. So I put the green part of the border all the way down, and then I started on the snow. There is this little border below, so the green border has those flowers all the way in it. Then there's a border across the bottom, which is, and up that side, which we're gonna call them cherries, even though they're cherries on a vine. I don't know what that would be, but we'll just say they're cherries. They could be cranberries, which are wintry, but equally unlikely to appear on a vine. So I did make it down to the snow. And I've decided I'm not going to worry about the fact that I don't think my stitching looks great when it's in block stitching. I'm using one strand of the called for overdyed cottons, and this is, I think, 36 count or 32 count, 36 count Brenda's Brew linen. So I do think that the effect of the snow and the house against the dark linen is going to be wintry. So that is good. And as you may remember, this is housed in this project bag, which I got from Fox and Rabbit, my Patreon membership. This was the one that came in maybe December. So this, it's over there. This weekend is the first weekend in February, and normally on the first weekend in February, or the first weekend of each month, I've been doing the Blackbird Designs Weekend Stitch Along, and I am going to do that this weekend, except that I'm not ready, but I will be ready. But I went up and looked at my stack of Blackbird books and patterns, which I have a surprising large number of. One of the reasons I was looking at them was because I was going to put in an order from somewhere, Kitten Stitcher or Hobby House Needleworks or 123 Stitch, for a particular chart I want to do from Hands Across the Sea. Well, I should say I want to own the chart and someday do it, maybe. And I thought, you know, the patterns should not travel alone. That is something I learned from Brenda and Laura on Brenda and the Cereal Starters, Flosstube. But anyway, I was looking and I saw things in my Blackbird collection. So the first, I've showed this some months ago. This is a set of tiny stockings. This is Blackbird. It's quite old. I think it's 2009 or something. But the one, I mean, I like them all, but the one I am kind of interested in is this birthday one, a little happy birthday stocking. So that's interesting. Now it's interesting that their chart, so they include the charts and they include instructions for finishing, including this template to cut out so that you can make your stocking the shape that it's designed to be. And it's charted for 30 count linen. So that would be 15 count Aida, which I'm not going to do this on Aida, I don't think. But if I went to 36 or 40 count linen, this little template wouldn't work. So, I mean, I can make the template smaller. I can figure that out, but it's just interesting. That shows also how old this is. 2009, I'm correct about that, because it's not, nowadays, I don't think any Blackbird comes charted for 30 count linen. I'm not even sure that it's very readily available, but I really don't know. So I might be saying nonsense. The other thing I came across is this book, Ooh La La. And they say it's samplers and projects with a French flair. And I'm not sure why they think it's French, but this is a beautiful book. I mean, some beautiful projects in here. Very Blackbirdy. Now this is one, try to get it open, called A Bit of Spring. It's a red, basically a red sampler, but it has a few other colors in it. Beautiful letters, I think, beautiful alphabet. But do you notice anything interesting about that? Well, what I noticed was, just noticed something else. I noticed that there's no Z. But what I'm now noticing is I'm looking at the chart. Oh, that's because it's a different one. I'm thinking the chart is different. So there's another red sampler in here, this one. Now this is a red sampler, it's all red. That's also quite nice as a red sampler. And one of the reasons I was looking at these, I wasn't gonna do one of the samplers, but they have some tiny projects in here. This one. It's sort of a little needle roll. It's a sampler, a red sampler that they rolled up and they give directions on how to make it. And also, if you are interested in that kind of thing, I think there's Vanna. I can't think of her last name, but Vanna on Floss on YouTube has tutorials about how to make things. But what I am going to start, so this is Winds of Autumn. And I was going to, as I think I've mentioned, I was going to do this, this one. Mighty Oaks from Little Acorns Grow. And I want to do that, but I think my experience with other Blackbird designs, I think I'm going to actually try to get the actual floss for it, the called for floss. This is also called for 36 count Wren by Pictures Plus. Sorry, wrong side. I don't know anything about that fabric. But I think whatever fabric I use, I am going to try to use the actual colors, because I've learned that that really makes a difference in these designs. So for that reason, I'm going to do that. But I'm not going to do that this weekend because I don't have the floss. Since I don't have a local needlework shop, I have to order it from somewhere. So I am going to do this. Now, the reason I'm going to do this is I think it's extremely cute, first of all. Secondly, it's not that huge. It's 65 by 89 stitches. And third, it uses 3 colors of thread, one of which, and it gives a DMC, which I haven't looked at these to see if I approve of them, but I think that this would be quick and fun, and, you know, I don't do Halloween stitching much. We don't really decorate for Halloween. I do have a pumpkin, one of those foamish pumpkins that you plug in that I put out on the porch, and I love to, I do love to carve a pumpkin. I haven't done it in several years, but even after our son was grown beyond the jack-o'-lantern stage, I still carved a pumpkin sometimes. And he was never that fond of it. I don't think he liked to touch the innards, but he did like to eat the pumpkin seeds, so there. And this, I keep my Blackbird stuff in this project bag, which is a vinyl front bag that my friend Leslie made for me a few years ago. And you see there is a recent, last summer, that's a Blackbird, or last fall, Blackbird that I finished. Very cute. That's on 40 count linen with DMC, sort of my own collection of it. And again, it was hard to come up with the colors, which is one of the reasons I think I'm going to get the colors for that Mighty Oaks sampler. And that will be a Blackbird project later, starting later in the year, probably. But I showed you this project bag, and I showed you this project bag, and I'm going to show you this one. There are 3 different types. So this is a top zipper. I love this fabric and the project bag, really. I have to be careful where I put things because there's something else I have over there. This is an envelope fold. This is quite nice. It's quite effective. It's quite easy. The way this seam is done is sort of an accent. and it has a little magnetic hand sewn in snap there, which I like. I like that idea. I like the design of that bag and the size. And this is the kind of project bag that I mostly use. These are inexpensive, pretty good quality. The zippers work well. They hold 8.5 by 11 sheets. This is what the Tiger is in currently. But I got this in my mind. I think I might have mentioned this last week about making a project bag, and so I did. Now this is fabric that I've had, well, I think my mother made herself and me jumpers or something out of this fabric when I was a child, when we were little, when I was a small child. And I have quite a bit of it left, really. So this little nautical idea, I made this last Saturday or whenever it was. And it was fun. And I used elizabethanncanstitch is the YouTube channel. I used her tutorial as a guide and her measurements and all. There are a billion tutorials on how to make zipper project bags, some which are the vinyl front, some which are this kind, which has the zipper partway down so you get this accent idea, and some which are the top zipper type. Now, I love that vinyl front one that Leslie made me because I could see what's in it. And I really like this because, well, I like the fabric and the size and all, as I've mentioned. I figured out it's going to be, if I were to make that type, it'd be very very, very easy. And this, really, the zipper ones are easy too. I think these, since these don't have vinyl, it takes a complication away that other one does have vinyl. I mean, it's not impossible whatsoever to do one that has vinyl. It's not impossible. It's just an additional challenge. But I understand why people get into making things like that, because it's very fun. So, yeah, I have so many things. But that was just something that I thought I'd show you. Now, variety show. So I'm reminded of Mark Twain famously wrote, "I didn't have time to write you a short letter, and so I wrote you a long one." And I feel as if this might, I think this is going to be a short video. I've had a very busy week, and I have a busy day tomorrow coming up, which I'll mention in a moment, but I mean, why? It's busy. But this video, so I thought, oh, well, this will be short because I don't have much to talk about. And I don't have much to talk about, which doesn't mean I won't talk about it for a long time. So anyway, my apologies in advance for how this might get out of hand. Okay. I noticed that my Instagram profile, I think it is, says that I'm interested in Lego. Possibly my YouTube profile does too. I can't really remember much about my YouTube profile, but Lego. Have I mentioned Lego on this show, on this channel at all? No, I don't think I'm not even sure I've mentioned the word Lego, but certainly I haven't talked about my interest in Lego. Well, I have an interest in Lego. It's been for a long time. All in my adulthood, though, I never had Legos growing up. I think I'm too old to have had them early on. Early on, we had American Brick, I think it's called, and Erector set and all. But this is one of many of the large Lego sets that I have. And I just thought I'd talk a little bit about my interest in Legos and about Lego sets in general. So Lego, when I got interested in it, I got interested because they had the Castle series. And this would have been in the mid-1980s is when I got interested. And we were relatively newly married. We were newly out of university, and basically we had not a lot of money, but I just had to have these Lego sets, and they were very expensive at the time. You know, up to $30 or $40 for a Lego set, which seemed unreachable, really, but I was just that kind of person, and so I got them. And then later, I got interested in the Lego Mindstorms, and I actually got into it in the version 2, and I got the Lego Mindstorms kit, which includes they call it the Smart Brick, I think, which is it's a computer, is what it is, and it has a battery pack as part of it. The original ones did, and connections for sensors of various sorts that came in the set, and you could buy extras also. And I think I got a few extras, touch sensors, and it was just fascinating. I'm hoping to find some pictures of Lego pictures to be sticking in here while I'm talking about Legos. A friend gave me the Saturn V rocket in whatever the 50th year would have been, 2019, which I'll put a picture, I think. I might have a picture. I mean, I have it in the other room, but there's some things on top of it, so it's a little challenging to get at it. The box, I mean. It's tall, it's like 1 meter tall, and it's detailed like the rocket, the Saturn V rocket, the Apollo 13. It's in honor of Apollo 13, Apollo 11, not 13, Apollo 11 moon landing in July of 1969, so it was the 50th anniversary of our landing on the moon, and it had 1,969 pieces, so very, really fantastic item in relation to that. And I'm gonna leave this here in front of me because I want to talk about some features of it. And I've done other models like cars and buildings, things like that, which, especially I have done the Tower Bridge. Wow, that's a large and very interesting model and very true to what it represents, which is Tower Bridge in London. Anyway, here we are. So what do I like especially? So this is a technique set or technical Lego, and these move. You see that they're gears and they're sometimes cables. There are pistons and drive shafts. There are steering columns and things like that. This one comes with a power pack, and so all of that crane operation there can be, I'm sorry about the glare, I'm trying to make the glare not be on the part I'm talking about. But it can be, there's the power pack, it can be used, you can put this power pack in it, which has a motor which connects to it so that you can operate the gears on that you built into the model. And if you have the power on, then all this stuff happens. And I think that's quite interesting. Certainly I made use of the power pack when I was doing the Lego Mindstorm stuff, the robotics, but I think these technical models would be just as well served with a little crank to give the power to make the things happen. For one thing, the motor, now Legos are made in such a way that it's really hard to break them, but the motor has enough torque to it that it could break your Lego, the actual pieces of your Legos, not to mention your model, tear it apart, if you have it all put together wrong, which these complicated sets tend to have hundreds of pages in their, sorry, I'm leaning out of frame, in their manuals, and hundreds of steps. So it's possible to put them together wrong, and I'm a very meticulous Lego constructor, and I have made mistakes and had to back up, and it's hard to back up sometimes. But here's what I do with Legos. I admire it in the box. I'm careful as I take it out of the box. I build it with great pleasure. I love building Legos. It's like a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle with a guide. And at the end of it, you have something that looks like something. It's three-dimensional, and the ones, especially the Technics sets, actually do something. And then I take them apart and put them away back in the box or in a bin, because taking it apart is just as interesting, really, as putting it together. It sometimes takes close to the same amount of time to take it apart, because Lego is constructed or designed, engineered so that it is pretty sturdy. And the angles at which things go together are not always, sometimes you put two things together and then you put a pin through. So it's operating in more than one dimension in terms of how it's constructed. So to get that apart, you have to think, now which direction did this pin go? Or I think, now I know this comes off. I can't remember what steps I had to take to put it on. And in these complicated Technics models, sometimes I have to go back to the directions for that section in order to figure out what piece I should be trying to work loose. They come with little tools to separate the Legos from each other, to push the axles through the tight fitting couplings and all that, because otherwise it would be very difficult to get it apart. And you may think, well, Lego should be interested in you keeping it together so that you can display it and then you'll have to buy another one. Well, they are not really interested in that. They're interested in creativity also, and so they have built some sets. They've manufactured some sets that were user built to start with. Like I think that Saturn V rocket might be that. I do hope I can find pictures because I tend to take pictures as I'm going along and post them on Facebook. Legos. Yes, clearly Mark Twain is right. I don't have time to write you a short letter. Anyway, it's been a great fun. So now here's a couple things I want to say about how to buy them. You should expect that if the set, for instance, this set that I was showing you has 1,300 pieces. In the complicated, large sets, by and large, you can imagine that you will spend 10 cents per piece. So 1,300 pieces will cost around $130. I have probably already put a picture up. The Millennium Falcon, the most complicated large model that they've made of that. It has several interior spaces that look like the movies. That was $600. Now it's more than 6,000 pieces, but basically 10 cents a piece. There's a model now that there's two models that I would like to do. One is the Colosseum and the other is the Eiffel Tower. Large, very large models, multiple thousands. I think the Eiffel Tower may have more than 10,000 pieces. Well, it doesn't cost $1,000, but I think it's $700, something like that. So I don't have it. There's reasons I don't have it. So in other words, that's just something, a rule of thumb for the complicated models. For the simpler models, it might not be quite that much. If you have a child under the age of 8, I would say if you don't like the Technic sets yourself, you shouldn't expect to give that child a Technic set. I think they mostly say ages 10 and up. A 10-year-old who has had experience constructing Legos from the diagrams could probably do one of the simpler Technic sets, but they might need help. And most of you who are interested in this segment of my video are going to be eager to help your child or grandchild with their Legos, right? Because Legos are very fun. And then the third thing I'll say is that sometimes it says ages 10 to 16. Well, adults like it. Adult fans of Legos, F-Log, F-A-F-L, I don't remember. Anyway, there is a category of adult who likes Legos, and especially the robotics. And one more thing I'll mention is that there's something called First Lego League, FLL, which is a robotics experience designed for middle schoolers. And the idea is that a team of middle schoolers will create a robot to satisfy a certain set of challenges, which are the First Lego League competition, and then they will go as a team to First Lego League events and compete their robot against others to see how they do. And there's national level challenge. I mean, it's all the way up to national level challenges. I am not aware at this moment of a First Lego League situation in my area, but I bet if I were to go to one of the schools and say, hey, I'm interested in being a parent sponsor for this, I bet you there would be some interest, because it's very fun and it reinforces a lot of things that middle schoolers are learning about working together, about design, about engineering, about trial and error, about problem solving, and so on. Anyway, if I were a middle schooler, I would want to do that. As an adult, I kind of want to pretend to be a middle school team and enter myself. I won't do it. All right, I have blathered on. I hope you found that interesting. If you didn't find it interesting, well, you kind of fast forwarded or turned off the video. Was there something else I was going to show you? Oh, yes. Back to cross stitch for just one moment. I did a thing. I bought one of these. This is a teeny scissors. You see it has a little tassel. I don't know what to put. I guess put my hand. It has that little, here you go. Oh, Emily. Can you see that? Teeny. It's a spring so that it's always open, which is important for this size little thing. So it's sort of like a snips, and it fits in this little sheath so that the blades are protected since they're always open. The tassel, I chose blue. I don't know if you can even see that color in this light, but why, Emily? Why did you do that? Because I want to be able to cross stitch on airplanes, and I don't want there to be the slightest question about whether my embroidery scissors have too long a blade, because my embroidery scissors are, the ones I have, the various sets I have some sentimental value, most of them, and I don't want the TSA to say you can't take that. So that's why. Anyway, that, and it's cool. No, Emily, don't do it because it's cool. Yeah. All right, Emily, that's enough. This has been a record-long video. As I said, I didn't have time to make a short video today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you found something of interest, and I hope that you have a great day and weekend and week of cross-stitch and other crafts, and you have nice enough weather to get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. And I guess that's it. Many blessings, friends.